we see a married couple. The husband is a fit, middle-aged man standing shirtless as he glances over at the see-through shower door. The wife sees him watching her and is instantly turned on, rubbing her whole body as she smiles back at him. Then a man shows up out of nowhere from behind and attacks her. But this all turns out to be a dream. Cut to a couple making love in bed. It looks like she was the woman who was remembering the shower dream. When he finishes, she doesn't seem to be much satisfied. The radio is on, broadcasting the weather forecast among other things. The woman is named Kate Miller. She tells off her son Peter Pete Miller because he was supposed to go to the museum with her, and later the family was going to meet his grandma for lunch. Pete doesn't want to do any of that. He prefers to stay at home working on an improved computer, which can count binary numbers up to 20 digits. Pete says he doesn't know, and she tells him that when you invent or discover something, you get to name it. Kate lets him skip their scheduled day, but makes him promise not to work all night. Kate's partner, Mike, is not Pete's real father. Kate leaves home to see her psychiatrist, Dr. Robert Elliott, who has to perform the duties of receptionist as Mary is on a holiday. Kate complains about the surprise visit of her mother from Florida due to her approaching birthday. She thinks her mother will ruin it. She also complains about Mike's specialties. She is fed up with her husband and mother, but she doesn't say anything to the right person. Elliot tells her not to get angry with him, but with Mike, and tell him that he's bad in bed. She says maybe there's something wrong with her and questions Elliot whether he finds her attractive or not. He admits that he finds her attractive, but he also says that he's married and doesn't want to put his marriage in danger. Kate says she doesn't know. Later, Kate is at the museum. She notices a young couple and feels somewhat jealous of their love for one another. She observes the paintings and starts writing notes. Shortly after, a man sits next to her, writing his own notes. She glances at him. When he notices her, she smiles, but doesn't get any reaction from him. Upset, she pulls out her glove and flashes her wedding ring. The man just gets up and walks away. She accidentally drops her glove and contemplates leaving, but then she decides to approach him. She loses his sight, so she has an expression which says, "Obviously, he wasn't serious about me." But when she turns around, he's there, staring at her. They follow each other around the museum. She seems to panic for a second, and then is happy that he's not there. But he appears again, on her back, touching her with her own glove. When she remembers she's lost it, she tries to find it, and then she realizes he's got it. Kate then looks around for him and sees the man from a distance. She tries to catch up, but loses track of him again. When she leaves the museum, she drops the other glove and then sees the man's hand showing the glove from a yellow cab. A mysterious person picks up the other glove from the ground. She smiles and thanks him for retrieving her missing glove, but he pulls her inside. They make out while the taxi driver looks at them through the inside mirror. It seemingly progresses to oral sex. They arrive at his destination, his apartment. She stays with him through the afternoon. She then gets ready to leave and realizes her underwear is missing, but then she remembers leaving it in the cab. When she is about to leave, she finds papers stating that he's suffering from a sexually transmitted disease and that she will have probably caught it. Kate abruptly leaves. The mysterious person appears to be following her. When she is in the elevator, she is so nervous that she caresses her hands one against the other. Then, she realizes that she's forgotten her wedding ring in the apartment of the man. She has to go to the flat again, but when she gets to the right floor, another blonde woman, probably using a wig, with dark sunglasses, stabs her with a straight razor. Kate is left for dead, all bloodied. Another couple of people have called the elevator. They are discussing the convenience of buying the shares of a particular company. He runs away at the sight of Kate's bloodied body, and the woman, Elizabeth Liz Blake. When she looks inside the elevator, Kate is still alive. They try to reach out for each other's hand, while the doors of the elevator are slowly closing down. In the last second, Liz looks up and in the reflection of the mirror, and she sees the blonde-wigged woman who is about to cut her hand as well. So, she backs up, but the killer drops the razor in front of her. A cleaning lady appears, and she shouts when she looks at Liz with the razor menacingly held by her hand. Elliot finds an answering machine message left for a man saying that there is a woman trying to get out of his body. He's worried because the man has also admitted to stealing a straight razor from the cabinet of his office. Detective Marino leaves a message for Elliot to come down to the station because Kate was one of his patients. There, Elliot finds Pete and offers his services if he wants someone to talk to about all that happened. But Pete just wants to know who killed his mother. Regardless, Elliot leaves his card in case Pete changes his mind. Marino questions Elliot, who gets very defensive but doesn't mention the answering machine message. Meanwhile, Liz is waiting to be questioned as well, and Pete is listening to the whole conversation through a special device he likely invented. Marino mentions that the man Kate spent the afternoon with, Warren Lockman, was recognized by the taxi driver. He comments that after she was finished with Lockman, she came on to some weirdo in the elevator who ended up killing her. The detective suspects that Kate was killed by one of Elliot's weird patients and that he's protecting them. Elliot defends his patients, saying that the term they use is not weirdo, but a person suffering from emotional dysfunction and a problem of maladaptive behavior. Moments later, Mike picks Pete up. Marino questions Liz about what she was doing in the building. She says she was with a married man. She is a prostitute. Marino suspects her as nobody saw the blonde woman, and her fingerprints are on the weapon. The married man, Ted, is from out of the city, and Marino tells Liz that she is the only person interested in finding Ted if she wants to prove her story. He tries to investigate the case as well. In his blue bike, he follows Liz all over the city. He arranges a camera to be hidden inside the box at the back of the bike. Liz tries to stay at home, but she needs the money to invest in the company which Ted had recommended, so she asks for $500 to meet a client, Cleveland Sam, in room 331. She leaves a bit distraught. She jumps onto a taxi, but realizes that somebody is following her. She asks the young taxi driver to lose the follower, but they don't succeed.
But she's still coming.
The taxi driver wants to meet her for dinner since he failed, and she agrees. He even helps Liz by opening the door of the taxi when the blonde lady is passing by it. Liz runs to the underground, but when she tries to leave another blonde transsexual or scares her off, Liz approaches some black men who are listening to the radio, but one of them, called Sonny, threatens her as the train arrives.
This bitch is bothering me.
Well, what are you gonna do about it?
I'm gonna break her fucking ass.
Liz tells the police officer, who ends up thinking she is making it all up because he can't see any gang threatening to cut her up, and Liz is claiming that a blonde is following her leaves, the officer even more convinced that she's mad. In the next stop, the police officer leaves. When the doors close, the gang appears again, just causing a nuisance to all passengers. Liz runs from them and closes one door behind. At that moment, the blonde woman puts a hand on her mouth and wants to slash her with another straight razor. Fortunately, Pete saves Liz using an anti-rape spray of his invention. Liz invites him over. Pete sleeps at Liz's, and she promises that she won't tell anyone that he's not studying French at his friend Paul's. Liz tells him that she knows that the blonde woman left the doctor's office, but she can't explain how she knows it. As Marino can't get a register order like that, he indirectly suggests she enter Elliot's office and check the doctor's agenda. Dr. Levy tells Elliot that one of his patients, Bobby, has stopped seeing him because he didn't approve of his sex change. Elliot tells Levy that Bobby must be the murderer of the lady in the elevator, and they also comment on the missing razor. Later, Liz pretends to be a new patient of Dr. Elliot. She tells him about an erotic dream of hers, but also admits that she's a prostitute, although she sometimes makes love to men for pleasure. She gets naked trying to seduce him. During all this time, Pete is watching with some lens. Liz checks the address book of Dr. Elliot, and she thinks that the name she's looking for is Chris Clemens. Pete tries to tell her that the blonde woman is inside the office, but another blonde woman has attacked him. The blonde woman inside is already prepared to slash her with a straight razor. At that moment, the blonde woman who is holding Pete down shoots Bobby. The wig falls off. The blonde woman is a wounded man. It's the doctor, Robert Elliot. Sometime later, Levy, Marino, Pete, and Liz are sitting down. Levy explains that Elliot had a double personality. He was the masculine doctor, but he was also a patient who wanted to have a sex change performed, and giving Bobby as his name, he visited Dr. Levy. Levy says that Elliot represents Bobby, but that when Bobby decided to go for the sex change surgery, that pushed him to act. Levy says that every time Dr. Elliot felt attracted to a woman, her alter ego killed that woman. The blonde woman who attacked Pete was police officer Betty Luke, who was in charge of following Liz. Marino pushed her to enter Dr. Elliot's address book because he didn't have any proof against him. Liz explains to Pete how a sex change operation takes place. He replies, sitting comfortably at a restaurant with her, that he may change the subject of his investigation and use himself as the subject of that sex change, instead of investigating computers. Meanwhile, at a mental institution, a nurse walks in to give Dr. Elliot the medicine he must take. He looks defenseless and sleepy, but he jumps and strangles her. All the loose madmen cheer. Pete invites Liz to sleep at his house. In the final scene, Liz is naked in the shower and feels some danger. Somebody dressed as a nurse approaches, and she knows it. She doesn't have anything to defend herself in the bathroom, except for something in the medicine cabinet. However, suddenly, the razor is at Liz's neck. The same blonde woman slashes it. Liz wakes up screaming, and Peter rushes to her side, letting her realize it was merely a nightmare. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.